So there's this great quote by the American entrepreneur Mike Dillard, and Mike says, the greatest achievement in life is to have the ability to create the world around you so that it matches the dreams in your head. I strongly agree with that statement. I think one of the greatest things we can teach people in our education system is how to translate the ideas, the dreams, the ambitions in their head into the real world. Think about what this means if you could take those thoughts in your head, dreams for healing, dreams for creating works of art or companies or contributing to the world, and more rapidly get them out into the physical world. See, the thing is, our education system teaches us to function purely as a physical being. To create things, you create them physically. But what if they are tools, powerful tools, that exist purely in terms of using our minds, our intellect, our abilities such as dreaming and visualizing within our minds to accelerate the creation of the world that we want. These tools exist. It's called creative visualization. And if you can learn this art, it is one of the most incredible things you can gift yourself in the world. Here's why I believe in creative visualization. I've always believed that there's a slow way and a fast way to create change in the world. I've always been able to do it in a fast way. For example, if you look at Mindvalley today, we have one of the most gorgeous offices of any company. It was voted Inc. magazine top 10 coolest workplaces. But just a few years ago, this is what our office looked like. A few years ago, this is what our diner looked like. This is what it looks like today. This is what our team looked like just 10 years ago. This is our team today. Once a year, we take our entire company to a little team retreat on an island. This is what that looked like a few years ago. Today, we rent private islands. Just a few years ago, when a new person joined Mindvalley, we inducted them into our business in our Hall of Awesomeness, which was this tiny living room. But this is the Hall of Awesomeness today. So if you look at those pictures, you see dramatic changes, dramatic shifts, beautiful things being created. All of that came unnaturally fast to me. And when people ask me how I did it, it wasn't because of a specific set of knowledge or ideas or money. It was because every single day for the last 20 years, every single day in the morning, I start my day by visualizing my life 3 years ahead. This is the essence of creative visualization. Creative visualization is based on the idea that the thoughts that you have in your head influence physical reality in deep, meaningful ways. It creates situations where you can accelerate healing. For example, the Dr. O. Carl Simonton used it to help cancer patients go through spontaneous remission or healing. He called it imagery therapy. Bodybuilders like Arnold Schwarzenegger say that this is the secret for how they were able to create muscle growth. There are studies of athletes and Olympians that show that creative visualization dramatically helps accelerate their sports performance. Now, it's easy to measure and study this when it has to do with the human body. It may be a little bit of a jump to then say that our thoughts could influence the wider world. Can we, in effect, create coincidences, synchronicities, opportunities? Maybe, maybe not. The fact is, we don't know how it works. Some theories say it has to do with the brain's reticular activating system. When you have a dominant thought in your brain throughout the day is more likely to look for opportunities that fit that dominant thought. For example, in a classic explanation of the reticular activating system, you might read the example of how if you were to buy a white Volkswagen, all of a sudden, as you're driving, you will start to notice more white Volkswagens on the road because it's in your brain. Likewise, the thoughts you have in your brain about your future create an opportunity where you're more likely to look and seek and identify opportunities to help that future come to you. So that's the scientific explanation. But there's also metaphysical, spiritual explanations emerging. For example, biocentrism by Dr. Robert Lanza. Dr. Robert Lanza made the Time magazine top 100 most influential people in the world list for 2014. In his theory of biocentrism, he suggests that consciousness conceives, governs, and becomes a physical world. Do we know it's true? No, it is just a theory. But the thing is, just because we don't understand how something works doesn't mean we cannot use it. Think, for example, about the sun. Today we know that the sun is a star. It's a giant thermonucleic reaction in the sky. We know how it works from atoms and molecules and fusion type of perspective. But if you go back 40,000 years ago, human beings had no idea what the sun was. The ancient Egyptians thought it was the fire god Ra in the sky. Other cultures believed it was a glowing orb of fire. Nobody knew what the sun was, but at the same time, we could still use the sun. Our ancient forefathers could use the sun for farming, for navigation, for warmth, for light. They didn't have to know how the sun worked to be able to use it. Perhaps someday we will understand human consciousness in a deeper detail, that we can scientifically explain how our consciousness might be creating our reality. But until we figure it out, it doesn't stop us from being able to actively use it. This is where creative visualization comes into play. In fact, the evidence for